Good morning. These are hibiscus. It's the tea hibiscus roselle. I only grew one plant this year. I had a couple more, but they died. So this was the only one that survived. So I am peeling the calyxes off. The calyxes are the red part. That's the part that turns into tea. I have some friends who use this a lot, so I'm going to use it for a Christmas present. But in any case, I was doing some research the other day. I was trying to. I like being able to use everything. Um, I don't like the idea of taking a chicken, for example, and eating the choice bits and then throwing the rest away. Okay, so I want to go into. I want to like put it in the freezer until I can make a batch um, of broth or something. But I was looking at these, and basically, this is a seed pod. It's an immature seed pod, but it is a seed pod. And I went, what could I use that for? So my first thought was, well, let me back up a little bit. I decided to try some of the hibiscus tea, which, it's okay. But I was like, okay, there has to be a use for this. And so, well, I drank the tea and it had a kind of a thick texture. I went, huh. So I took a bunch of these pieces, these leftovers, the seed pods, and I boiled them. And the pod or the water was thick and viscous and almost jelly-like. And I went, okay, maybe we could use that for pectin. Maybe I could use that to create jams and jellies and that type of thing. And I went and did some research, and it didn't say anything. I couldn't find anything about using it for pectin. But I tried the jelly process. I took the thick, hold on. Sorry about that. That was an alarm telling me to water some of my plants. But I took the liquid and I boiled it and boiled it and boiled it, and it never gelled. Okay, so probably not pectin. I did find some research later that indicated that it could be used for pectin, but I hadn't found that yet. So I went, let's see, that pod is falling apart. Don't necessarily want that in my basket. I'll stick it. But if you look at this, can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. There's this mucus. See the strands attached to my thumb? See if I can, I don't know if you can even see that. They're so thin. But there's this thick mucus attached in the inside the pods. It's like, that's got to be good for something. So I went back to research. And I found some information that indicates, excuse me, I found some information that indicated that the leaves, the mucus from cooking the leaves, is a very strong wound healer. And of course, you have to be careful with that kind of thing. But apparently, when used on wounds, and these were mice trials, not human trials, but apparently when used on wounds, they heal much faster. And you can say that it's inhumane, whatever, but they did trials on mice, and they gave them second-degree burns, and then used this mucus on the wounds, and they healed much faster. The information that I was reading said that the second-degree burns were completely healed in 11 days. So, take it for what it's worth. But I thought, okay, so that's something. That's a use for the leaves. But I think it's also a use for the pods. Because, like I said, when I boiled the pods, the resultant tea was thick and viscous. It tasted almost like peas. Not quite, but almost like peas. And it was thick, which means mucus. Or mucilage is the scientific term. And I thought, okay, so what I can do and what I'm going to try is putting these pods in bottles and pressure cooking them. And then if I ever have a wound, which I don't very often, and I don't want any, but I can try it out on any wounds that I have and see how they heal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these pods, the green part, and I've got a bunch of them in the freezer, and I'm going to put them in probably in half-pint bottles. I'll probably do half-pint bottles for this. It's a test, but I'll probably do half-pint bottles and fill them up with the pods and fill them up with water and then pressure cook them and use that if I ever have a wound that needs to be healed on me or an animal or whatever. I'm wondering, there are various chicken things that happen and all that kind of stuff, but the chickens usually heal pretty quickly and on their own, unless they're actually sick. I've had birds attacked by dogs that just kept walking around, didn't even notice that they didn't seem to notice that they were wounded. Of course, we separated them from the other birds so that they wouldn't get pecked while they were healing, but they seem to heal pretty easily. But if this stuff will work for wound healing, specifically burns, that's what the research was about burns. Apparently, it works better than, it's different, of course, but apparently it works better than aloe vera as far as the healing. The aloe vera takes the first steps of the, taking the heat out of the wound, taking the heat out of the burn, takes those first steps toward healing. But this stuff apparently works better as far as long-term healing. I also want, when I get enough peppers, I want to do a pepper concentrate for wound healing, because that's also been proven. If I can get the straight capsicum oil or capsaicin oil, whichever way you want to put it, and put that in my emergency kit, that'll be great. I can do that. All right, that one's all dried up on the inside. Just put it in there. Which, that's not the garbage, that's an ash bucket, but I'll use it. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I went out and did some research and found a possible use for a waste product. So that is something that is important to me, using things to their maximum capacity. The leaves, I don't think I'm going to use the leaves. I know the leaves are edible. I know the leaves of the hibiscus are edible, but I'm not going to use the leaves in this particular test. Actually, I have a thing on my arm that needs some help. Maybe I can try it on that. A chicken pecked me and it's not healing right. But in any case, I can try that and see what works. In the meantime, I have some hibiscus for Christmas for friends, and we'll see what happens. Talk with you later.